someone who has been hit by a scammer or who has had their identity stolen, and cases are on the rise here in Nevada. I'll speak with an expert about what to look out for and easy ways to secure your identity. Then, Reno's bike scene is growing, with more people turning to cheaper forms of transportation and our new road projects adding bike lanes all over town. I'll speak with a cyclist at the front of the movement about what Reno still needs to do to be a bike-friendly place. When Face the State starts right after the break. Coming up on Face the State, we all know someone who has been hit by a scammer or who has had their identity stolen, and cases are on the rise here in Nevada. I'll speak with an expert about what to look out for and easy ways to secure your identity. Then, Reno's bike scene is growing, with more people turning to cheaper forms of transportation and our new road projects adding bike lanes all over town. I'll speak with a cyclist at the front of the movement about what Reno still needs to do to be a bike-friendly place when Face the State starts right after the break. Welcome to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for being with us. Well, from scammers calling your house, trying to get your personal information, to computer hacks that expose your credit card numbers, these days it can be really tough to keep your identity and financial information secure. Now, last year, Nevada ranked 20th in the nation for the fastest growing rate of complaints of internet crime and fraud, according to the FBI. Now, those crimes totaled more than $12 million in losses. So, how do you avoid becoming part of that statistic? Well, Tim Johnston with the Better Business Bureau is here to talk about that with us. Tim, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so for those not familiar, I know the BBB is a big name, but just tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, BBB's been around for 100+ years, helping consumers find businesses, brands, and charities they can trust. So typically consumers come to us to find out what's the track record on a business or a charity, and also if they have an issue with the company, they can come to us for help. Dispute resolution with that particular business.
And you know, these issues can range. You know, obviously there are going to be complaints about getting bad service here, or it could be, you know, on the complete other end of just a horrible scam, never even a legitimate business to begin with. Have you seen the types of issues change with the advent of the internet and technology?
You know, I think the internet has just blown things out even more and provided more avenues for scam artists to get in touch with us, the consumer. But the scams are pretty much all the same. They're just slight variations on a theme. They've gotten better because we've gotten smarter, but the internet, I think, has just blown it out and made the potential much greater.
So what kind of things do you see?
Well, right now we're looking at a potential, what we would call a reshipper type company that is contacting unemployed individuals that will post their profile, say, on a jobs board. And this company, and I use that word loosely, will reach out to them, to the unemployed individual, typically via email, to say, hey, we've got a job for you. Will you please get in touch with us, provide us your personal information, because we'd like to hire you to reship items. And typically from experience, what we find is those items are typically either stolen items or bought with stolen credit cards. And these items are typically shipped, usually overseas.
Gosh, so it's not just consumers, it's also job seekers.
Job seekers, correct. And so when people contact the BBB, not only looking for information about companies, but they want to know, what do you know about this company? Should I apply with them? Are they legit? What do you know about them? And we also hear from seniors too that maybe have received a telephone call from somebody saying, hey, I just won the sweepstakes, but I need to wire them, you know, $10 for a tax or something along those lines. And so we get all types of calls, and scams are one of those things.
Yeah, I know seniors are a really big target, especially I know there's the grandparent scam that was going on. I think it's still happening, where they'll call and say their grandchild is in jail in another state and they need to be wired money. Is that something you guys hear about?
You know, those scams don't end. You just hear about them from time to time. And oftentimes, those that have been victimized or maybe have been contacted don't want to talk about it, especially those that have become victims, because they don't want to let others know that they've been taken. Right. Almost a pride thing. And really what we want to do is encourage people to talk about it, especially if you're a senior, to talk about this, you know, not only with your family, but also your friends, your neighbors, those that you have contacts with, because, you know, if you can prevent them from becoming a victim, how much better can that be? That's
absolutely true. I mean, when you look at the statistics, the FBI always says, you know, there's this caveat, these are the ones we know about.
Right.
But a lot of people don't come forward and report it, you know, and so we don't find out about it until way after the fact, or until this many people have been taken by it.
Not everybody will complain, not everybody will step up, so it's really important for individuals not to just hold it in, but actually to talk about it.
Yeah. Anything in particular that's unique to this area, or is it, you know, kind of a national thing that's everyone gets the same stuff?
You know, something that we see unique here in Nevada is really particular to what companies can do, and that's incorporate in the state without really giving up a whole lot of information. Much like Delaware, you know, we're kind of like the Delaware of the West, and companies will incorporate here and say that they're here, but we know that they're not. But we don't know exactly where they're at. Are they somewhere in the States? Are they offshore? Central America, Russia? We don't know. And so that's something that we see often, that they'll try to lend some legitimacy that, hey, I'm a Nevada company, but they're really not. And so we try to dive deep into that to inform consumers what we know about the company.
Okay, so for a consumer, you know, looking to buy something or do business, how do you know that you're not being taken by some, you know, fake business or some scam artist?
You really need to do your research. You don't need to just go online and go, hey, this is a great suit or a great tie I want to buy, and you've never bought from them before. Before you do buy, check out the company. What's the track record? You can go to bbb.org to find that out. There's other sources out there as well. But know much more about the company before you actually turn over your credit card information.
That can be difficult, though. I mean, on the internet, there are so many people you can buy from. You can buy on, you know, these people making crafts out of their, you know, garage, selling it. How do you, I mean, would you advise people just to not go through private sellers like that?
Well, you have those, you know, I think like Etsy and probably mispronouncing it, I think it's Etsy.
Yeah.
And I think there's some legitimate products out there that you can buy from individuals that are working, crafting out of their home, that sort of thing. It's a matter of maybe paying through a legitimate source, such as PayPal, so that way, if there happens to be a dispute, you can go through that process. Use a credit card, because if something goes wrong, you can dispute the charge with your credit card company. Don't use your debit card, because you've just given that person access to your bank account.
Right. And it's not just loss of money, too. Identity theft is a big concern. I know that's something that you guys are helping out with. What are some of the ways that people are getting their identity, personal information stolen? You
know, I think more often what we hear day after day, I shouldn't say day after day, but more common is the data breaches that occur. I mean, just this past month, we heard a data breach with T-Mobile and one of the credit reporting bureaus. And that's a significant number of individuals that possibly have their information out there. Now, will those people or the individual that took the information use it for nefarious gains? We don't know. But what we do see and what we do hear is that they typically put that information out on the dark web for sale, and it's just a matter of, will you become a victim or not? So I think the internet has really blown that and made those data breaches more and more. But still, the old school of information that you have laying around the house, whether it's mail that comes in from your credit card companies, old bank statements, credit card statements laying around, and you're thinking, what do I do with these? I don't need them anymore. You want to make sure that you just don't toss them in the garbage, because somebody can easily take that information and now perpetuate a crime against you because they have your personal information. And sometimes too, what happens, and I saw this personally in my life, is dealing with the death of a family member. Or maybe if it's downsizing downsizing for somebody. You've got all these records of an individual, their lives. My dad had, I don't know how many decades of tax records. And you don't just want to toss that into the garbage. You want to make sure that you shred that information, make sure it's securely out of circulation.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing, especially if you're someone like me. I tend to keep things in a totally disorganized stack. It builds up, and I say, I got to get rid of this. There's a purge that happens, and I want to throw it away. What can you safely throw away? What do you need to keep? What needs to be shredded?
Well, you know, when it comes to tax returns, it's always best to check with your accountant on that as to what they suggest. There's differences of opinions out there as how long you should keep them, or if you should keep them in, you know, forever until the end of time. But when it comes to bank statements, typically after about 3 years' time that you can roll off. Mailings that you get that has junk mail that has your personal information on it. Obviously, you don't want to be holding on to junk mail, so go ahead and move that out. So those type of items that have your personal information on that you no longer need, that's just gathering dust. Those are the type of items that you can get rid of.
So when you say get rid of, do you mean put them in the recycling, or do you need to shred those?
You should shred those.
Okay.
Because when you put it outside of your control, they could end up in somebody else's hands. And so you want to make sure that that information is not going to end up in somebody else's hands.
Okay, and you guys have a great service coming up for those of us who need to be shredding lots of things.
I don't think you're unique. I think that happens to a lot of people. We want to stay
on.
You're unique, but you know, we let things pile up. Life gets busy, and so this is an opportunity for people to come and get rid of those documents that has personal information on it. and get rid of it for free. And so we have a shred event coming up on October 17th from 9 a.m. to noon, we say, or until the shred trucks get full. We don't know how busy it will get, but it's a great way to bring up to 3 bags or 3 boxes of things to have shred on the spot for free.
Yeah, and now tell me where that's happening.
So it's going to be at the AT&T building on the corner of Plum and Yorrie, so just west of Kitsky there on Plum, corner of Plum and Yorrie. It's in their parking lot. It's a drive-through event, and you come, you'll get information about how to protect yourself from identity theft and other scams, and just stay in your car. The people that work for American Document Destruction carry the heavy load. They'll unload, they'll get it into the dumpsters and get it into the truck to shred.
Yeah, I mean, and it is free, right?
It is free, correct. And new this year, we are asking those that are coming to bring a canned food item or funds to help benefit the food bank of the Northern Nevada.
Yeah, great cause there too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a couple minutes left. Aside from shredding your documents, do you have any other tips? Any information that people need to keep in mind as they're looking to keep themselves, safe from scammers and keep their ID secure?
Well, I think when we hear about the data breaches, we go, what can I do to protect myself? These things go on; it's beyond my control. But identity theft still happens. It still is a thing. 2014, 12.7 million Americans, $16 billion. Those are some significant numbers. Now, it's down from years prior, which is a good thing, but that's still a lot of Americans, a lot of consumers, and $16 billion is a lot of money. So it's a matter of making sure that you are protecting yourself, not only on the paper-wise, but also on your phones, in your computers. Make sure that you've got passwords on those, especially your phones nowadays. If you leave your phone in your car and somebody gets into your car and picks up your phone, what information are they going to get access to?
Right.
Personal information there, so you want to make sure you're protecting that. Make sure you've got good secure passwords. We're so electronic nowadays, and so are you changing your passwords on a regular basis and not reusing them for your bank site and for your email and that sort of thing. And I think what's really important for individuals to keep in mind is that we need to be vigilant. We just can't put this off. We are all busy people, but the best thing to do is if you do become a victim of fraud is if you can get to it ahead of time until, not after the fact that so many things have been going on for such a long period of time.
Get it reported.
Get it reported, correct.
Okay, all right, Tim, thank you so much. We
Well,
are
thank
out
you.
of time, but I do appreciate it. Coming up on Face the State, Reno's demographics are changing as new industries move in, and that may mean a lot more cyclists on the roads. I'll speak with a leader in the cycling community about how that affects everyone right after the break. Welcome back to Face the State. I'm Ariana Bennett. Thank you for staying with us. Well, if you've ever needed a cheap bike for Burning Man or a quick repair on your road bike, no doubt you've heard of the Reno Bike Project. It's been in our community for nearly 10 years, and now it's playing a role in making Reno a more bike-friendly city. Genevieve Parker, the program director for the Reno Bike Project, is here now to tell us all about it. Genevieve, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Howdy, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, okay, so Reno really has always had kind of a vibrant, active cycling community, but have you seen it change? Is it growing?
Sure. With infrastructure improvements I don't know what, just kind of a coming around, I guess, the cycling community is growing. There's more people on bikes every day, and not just for recreation, and certainly not just during Burning Man, but as commuters.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think as we get more people coming in and our population is booming, there are only so many cars you can fit on the road, right? Do you have people coming in saying, yeah, I mean, I'm just sick of the gas prices, sick of driving, sick of trying to find parking?
Sure. I think people have all sorts of different motivations for getting on a bike. It could be health, it could be economics, it could be convenience. You can get places faster on a bike than a car sometimes these days. So yeah, people have all different reasons why they come in and want a bike.
And you bike places, right?
That's right. I went without a car for the last 3 months. Just got a truck to go camping, but I have been biking everywhere exclusively for about 3 months.
How would you say Reno does in terms of, being a bike-friendly city?
It's not the most bike-friendly out there, but it's certainly not the least either. And I think it's working toward getting there.
What does it need? What would it help?
We really do need infrastructure improvements, and we could also really use community education, both for cyclists and for drivers, as well as enforcement by the police.
Okay, so when you're out biking, I've actually never commuted by bike in Reno, even though I've lived here such a long time. What's the experience like? I mean, is it dangerous at times? Do you feel, concerned for your safety?
It's a little bit of a grab bag. Some days are just perfectly lovely, and everyone will be nice and wave at you and be friendly. Some days you'll get buzzed, you'll get cursed at, catcalled, whatever. So it is a little bit of a toss-up.
And that probably has a lot to do with a lot of drivers and cyclists probably not completely understanding the rules of the road.
Oh yeah, I do, to be quite honest, I see a lot of cyclists not following the law, going the wrong way, salmoning as we call it, or going without lights, or not obeying traffic signs and signals. And I think that there's a little bit of a misunderstanding both among the cycling community and drivers sometimes about the status of bikes and whether they're a vehicle or a pedestrian or something else.
Yeah, so that's something we should talk about. I think there is a big misconception about that. We'll start with the basics. Is it allowed? Are you allowed to do it on a sidewalk, or does it have to be on a street?
No, you should not be on sidewalks, and you should always be on the street. I do always tell people that they should be in the place where they're the safest. And I think that there is the occasional circumstance where that may in fact be the sidewalk, but local codes actually do say that you should be on the street.
Okay, so you're on the street and you're approaching a stop sign. Can you roll the stop sign?
You shouldn't. Is it actually an efficient way to cycle around stopping full stop at every stop sign? Not really. I mean, is it fully necessary? Not really. If you have full vision and know that there's no one coming from any other direction. Not really, but bicycles are expected to behave as cars.
Okay, so same thing with stoplights. At an intersection, you have to stop at a red light.
Exactly.
Same idea.
And you should always be signaling.
Okay, signaling. Yeah, hand signals, obviously. Okay, what else? I mean, is there anything that cyclists are, any other big misconceptions, anything they're doing wrong?
My personal pet peeve is when I see cyclists in crosswalks. Those are for pedestrians, and cyclists need to get out of the crosswalk and also need to yield to pedestrians. Pedestrians have the right of way over everyone else, cars and bicycles. The other thing that I would really want cyclists to know is that they need to be properly lit up if they're cycling at night. People wear bright colors or have reflectors. Your shiny bits aren't enough if you're cycling in a truly dark area. Mm-hmm. And the law actually does require that cyclists have a front light and a back reflector as well as side reflectors. And you really should have a backlight for safety.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth the risk, right?
No,
Someone
no.
seeing you.
Yeah.
Okay, now on the flip side, I know drivers are just as guilty of not handling cyclists on the roads also. What's the etiquette? I mean, are you supposed to move a lane over if there isn't a bike lane?
Mm-hmm. The first thing that I would want car drivers to know about cyclists is that they are they're perfectly entitled to be on the road and are in fact required to be there, versus on the sidewalk, right, or in a dirt shoulder or something. It's also not safe. Drivers should know that they are required by the law at this point to move at least 3 feet over when they're passing a cyclist. If there's more than one lane of travel and no bike lane, then they need to move over one full lane. And if there is a double yellow line on the left side and only the one lane of traffic, they need to wait until there's a dotted yellow line or an intersection. They shouldn't be crossing that double yellow line at any time that represents an island. And they need to wait until there's an opportunity to pass safely.
Even if that means kind of rolling slowly behind, mm-hmm, for the cyclist
Even
to
if
keep
so.
going.
And cyclists should be moving over as far as is safe. That's their responsibility. If you've got a cyclist who's avoiding potholes or cracks or debris, you just need to deal with it.
Right. I mean, really, ultimately, Why not? Because there's no amount of getting to your destination 30 seconds sooner that's going to make it worth jeopardizing someone's life. I don't care how big of a hurry you're in, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, on both sides, definitely. A little cooperation goes a long way.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like it is only going to be becoming more of an issue as our population does grow, because this is becoming more popular, especially in younger populations, especially in the tech industry coming in. It's probably going to be more people commuting via bike.
Yeah.
So
a lot of young people are moving to Reno, and they want to ride bikes, and they want to be able to not just ride on the fringes. They want a proper place on the roads.
Absolutely. Okay, so I know you guys are working with the Reno the Regional Transportation Commission. What's the goal? What do you guys have in mind?
We do definitely dedicate ourselves to cycling advocacy, be that laws or infrastructure developments. I personally attend the meetings of the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, which is right now currently actually merging with another community advisory board. And RTC comes to us and presents things that are happening and asks for input as well as new ideas. Ultimately, I think the goal is to create a Reno metro area where anybody ages like 8 to 80 would feel comfortable and safe getting on a bicycle and going where they need to go.
And so that would mean a lot more work, definitely.
It really does.
Yeah, because I feel like we don't have, and you would know better than I would, but I feel like we don't have that really anywhere.
There's a lot of bike lanes throughout Reno and Sparks and the surrounding communities. There's not a lot of connectivity though. If you really want to get places, the bike lanes are very interspersed. They drop out without kind of warning, and sometimes in the places where you need them the most. And so there's a ton of work to be done in that area.
Yeah. Good news though, when they're tearing up Virginia Street in 2017, it looks like bike lanes are part of the plan for that.
Actually, no.
No.
Well, it remains to be seen, but there has been a lot of pushback by a few business owners who are really worried about losing really a relatively few amount of parking spaces. And who I think aren't really looking to the good of the community and the future of their own business, to be perfectly frank. So there's a lot of contention around whether there's going to be bike lanes on Virginia, which I think is 100% necessary. And a lot of people who live and shop in that community, Midtown, and who are in the college area think are really necessary. And so it kind of is up to City Council, and I know that there was a big discussion around that today. I don't know what the outcome was.
Okay, sounds good. We just have a few minutes left. I know Reno Bike Project really is a pretty multifaceted organization. You guys do community outreach, you do classes. Tell me a little bit more about what the organization does.
Sure. Like you said, we did just turn 9 on the 1st of October. We started back in October of 2006 in a basement on Bell Street, and we now are located on 4th Street. So folks can walk in at any time and no appointments ever. We're both a full-service shop as well as a community workshop. So we can do repairs for folks, but we really encourage them to go to our public workstations and learn how to do the repairs themselves. We'll teach them while letting them use our tools. People can buy fully overhauled bikes as well as is bikes, and we also accept donations in any condition and recycle those back into the community. We do after-hours education. We've got a couple of member workshop nights. We do a bicycle repair class quarterly, and that the bikes that are overhauled in that class get fed into a program where we match up these overhauled commuter bikes with folks that are referred from different aid agencies for veterans, shelters, a couple of Washoe County service agencies, putting those bikes into the hands of folks that need them the most. We've got youth education at local high schools and middle schools. And we have a membership program, and we do volunteer hours, so folks can come in to volunteer for hours that they need or for themselves, for their own personal edification.
Perfect. Okay, and you guys are always accepting donations, monetary and bikes, right?
Always.
Okay, Genevieve, thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. That is it for this episode of Face the State, but for more information or to see past episodes, just head to our website, ktvn.com. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you next week.